Sometimes help doesn't come from the people you trust. It comes from the number you never meant to dial. The sound came first. A soft, uneven whimper cutting through the silence of a one-bedroom apartment that smelled faintly of warm milk and worn fabric. Clara Whitmore didn't look up right away. Her eyes were locked on the screen of her phone, the faint glow casting pale light across her tired face. The battery icon blinked red, 2%. Her thumb hovered above the screen, trembling slightly, not from fear, but from exhaustion that had settled deep into her bones over weeks without real sleep. Behind her, on the small couch pushed against the wall, her daughter stirred again. Lily's tiny chest rose and fell too fast, her breath catching in shallow rhythms that made Clara's heart tighten every single time. Hey, it's okay, Clara whispered, her voice soft but frayed at the edges, like something stretched too thin for too long. She reached back without turning, resting her hand gently on the baby's blanket, feeling the warmth, too much warmth. The thermometer lay beside her, its last reading still glowing faintly in memory, 102.4. Too high for a 6-month-old. Clara swallowed, forcing her focus back to the phone. Contacts. She tapped quickly, scrolling past names she hadn't called in months. Family. That was the plan. It had to be. Her older brother usually answered, usually helped, usually didn't ask too many questions. Her fingers moved fast now, typing before doubt could catch up. James, I'm so sorry. I hate to ask again, but Lily's sick and I just need like $30 for medicine. I'll pay you back Friday. I promise. She read it once. Then again. The words looked smaller each time, like they were shrinking under the weight of her own pride. Her jaw tightened. Pride didn't matter tonight. Lily did. A soft cough came from the couch, thin, fragile. Clara closed her eyes for half a second, then hit send. The message whooshed away into the quiet. For a moment, nothing happened. Just the hum of the old refrigerator, the ticking clock on the wall, the faint buzz of the city somewhere outside her window. Clara let out a slow breath she didn't realize she was holding. Then she leaned back against the edge of the kitchen counter, her shoulders dropping as if gravity had suddenly remembered her. She stared at the screen, waiting, hoping, counting seconds like they meant something. The phone buzzed. Clara's head snapped up. Too fast. Hope surged. Quick, sharp, almost painful. She grabbed the phone, her thumb unlocking the screen in one motion. The reply sat there. Simple. Immediate. Not what she expected. I think you have the wrong number. Clara froze. The words didn't register at first. They just sat there, flat and unfeeling. Then her stomach dropped. No. She pulled up the contact, her eyes scanning the digits, her brain suddenly wide awake. One number off. Just one. Her breath caught in her throat, a quiet, broken sound. Oh my God, she whispered. Her fingers moved quickly again, typing over themselves in a rush to fix what couldn't be undone. I'm so sorry. Please ignore that. Wrong number. She hit send before she could think about it, then lowered the phone slowly, like it had suddenly become heavier than before. The apartment felt quieter now. Too quiet. Like even the walls knew she had run out of options. Clara pressed her lips together, blinking fast as the weight of the moment settled over her. She turned her head, looking back at Lily, who had gone still again. Too still for comfort, but breathing. Still breathing. That was enough. It had to be. She stepped closer, brushing a strand of soft hair away from the baby's forehead, her hand lingering there just a second longer than necessary. We're okay, she whispered, though her voice didn't quite believe it. Behind her, the phone buzzed again. Clara hesitated this time, just for a second. Then she turned, picked it up, looked down. A new message. Same number. Different tone. Is your baby going to be okay? Clara frowned slightly, confusion cutting through her exhaustion. Her first instinct was caution. Always caution. She'd learned that the hard way. People didn't just ask that. Not without a reason. Not without something attached. Her thumb hovered again, the silence stretching between the message and her response. On the couch, Lily shifted, letting out a soft, restless sound. Clara glanced back at her, then down at the phone. And for the first time that night, she didn't know what to do next. Clara stared at the message longer than she should have, her thumb hovering just above the screen as if the wrong movement might break something fragile she could not yet see. The words were simple, almost too simple. but they carried a tone she was not used to hearing from strangers. Not impatient, not suspicious, just concerned. She exhaled slowly, her breath uneven, then typed back with careful restraint. She has a fever. I am trying to get medicine. She hesitated, then added, but I am okay. Thank you. It was automatic, that last part. She was never okay, but she always said she was. The reply came faster this time. A fever over 102 can be serious for an infant. How old is she? Clara frowned slightly, her guard rising again. People who asked questions usually wanted something. Information was currency, and she had learned not to spend it lightly. She glanced over at Lily, who shifted again under the thin blanket, a small sound escaping her lips that made Clara's chest tighten. 6 months. Too small to be this sick. Too small for her to hesitate. Clara looked back at the phone. 6 months, she typed, then stopped. She almost deleted it. Almost. But she did not. The dots appeared immediately. Does she have a pediatrician you can call? Clara let out a quiet breath that almost sounded like a laugh, but there was no humor in it. Not tonight, she replied. I just need to get through the night. She stared at the words after sending them, feeling exposed in a way she did not like. Too honest. Too real. The silence stretched for a moment longer than before, just enough to make her regret answering it all. Then the phone buzzed again. What medication were you trying to buy? Clara blinked, caught off guard by the direction of the question. She looked at the nearly empty box sitting on the counter, the label worn from being handled too many times. Infant acetaminophen, she typed. The one for fever. She added nothing else this time. No apology. No explanation. Just the truth. Another. Pause. Then a notification appeared. Not a message this time. A payment alert. Clara frowned, her thumb tapping the screen as the app opened. Her breath stopped halfway in her chest. $3,000. She stared at the number, her mind refusing to process it correctly. It had to be a mistake. It had to be. Her fingers moved quickly now, typing with urgency that cut through her exhaustion. This is too much. I cannot accept this. I only needed $30. Her heart pounded harder than it had all night, the sound loud in her ears. Seconds passed. Then the reply came. Buy what your daughter needs. The rest will help with tomorrow. Clara shook her head instinctively, even though he could not see her. No, I cannot. I do not even know you. She typed back, her hands trembling more now than before. The response was immediate. That is fair. A pause. Then another message followed. My name is Adrian. Clara stared at the name. It meant nothing to her. No memory. No connection. Just a stranger with more money than she had seen in months. Maybe years. She swallowed, her eyes drifting again to Lily. The baby's breathing had not changed. Still too fast. Still too shallow. Clara looked back at the screen, then at the payment notification again. $3,000. Enough for medicine. Enough for groceries. Enough to breathe for a week without calculating every dollar twice. Her pride pressed against her chest like a wall. But Lily's quiet, fragile breath pressed harder. Clara closed her eyes for a brief moment, then opened them again, steadier this time. Thank you, she typed. The words felt small compared to what had just happened, but they were all she had. She placed the phone down for a second, grabbing her keys with a quick, decisive motion. The nearest pharmacy was still open, 15 minutes away if she drove fast enough. She moved quickly now, wrapping Lily carefully in the blanket, holding her close against her chest. The warmth was still there. Too much warmth. Clara pressed her cheek gently against Lily's head as she headed for the door. We are okay, she whispered again, but this time it sounded less like a lie and more like something she was trying to believe. As she reached for the door handle, her phone buzzed again in her pocket. Clara hesitated, then pulled it out, glancing down as she stepped into the hallway. Another message from Adrian. Short, quiet, but it stopped her completely. Clara, did Lily sleep any better? Clara froze. The hallway light flickered faintly above her, but she did not notice. Her eyes locked on the screen, her mind racing backwards through every message. Every word. Every detail. She had never told him her daughter's name. Clara did not move. The hallway stretched around her, quiet and dim, but everything inside her had gone sharply, painfully alert. Her fingers tightened slightly around her phone, her pulse climbing in slow, steady beats that felt louder than they should. She read the message again. Then again. The name. Lily. It was there. Clear. Undeniable. She replayed the conversation in her head, every line, every word she had typed. She had said my daughter. She had said 6 months. She had never said Lily. Not once. Her throat went dry. For a moment, instinct took over. She pulled the phone away, her thumb hovering over the block option, her mind flashing through every warning she had ever heard about strangers online, about people who knew too much, too quickly. Her grip tightened around Lily as the baby stirred faintly against her chest, letting out a soft, restless sound. The warmth was still there. That reality cut through everything else. Clara exhaled slowly, forcing herself to think, not react. If this was something dangerous, it did not make sense. Not like this. Not with help first. Not with $3,000 sent without hesitation. Predators asked for things. They pushed. They demanded. This felt different. That was what unsettled her more. Her thumb moved back to the screen. She typed carefully this time, each letter deliberate. How do you know her name? She stared at the message before sending it, her breath shallow, then pressed send. The seconds that followed felt longer than anything that had come before. The hallway light flickered once above her, buzzing faintly. Somewhere down the hall, a door closed softly, the sound distant and unimportant. All that mattered was the silence on her phone. Then the dots appeared. They stayed longer this time. Not rushed. Not immediate. As if he was choosing his words. That made her heart beat faster. Finally, the message came through. I should have explained that sooner. Clara frowned slightly, her brows drawing together. It was not an answer. Not yet. Another message followed almost immediately. There is someone in my company named James Whitmore. Clara's breath caught. Her brother. The name hit her like a small shock, sharp and unexpected. She leaned back slightly against the wall, her mind trying to connect something that did not quite fit. He works in human resources, the message continued. When I mentioned the wrong number text earlier tonight, he realized it might be you. Clara blinked, the tension in her shoulders shifting, not disappearing, but changing shape. That explained part of it. Maybe, but not all of it. Her fingers moved again. That still does not explain how you know my daughter's name. The response came slower this time. He talks about his niece sometimes. Clara swallowed. Her eyes dropped to Lily, who had gone quiet again. Her small face relaxed for a brief moment against Clara's shoulder. A niece. Lily. The connection was there. It was real. It made sense. And yet, something about it still felt too close. Too precise. He mentioned her name once, Adrian added. I remembered it. Clara closed her eyes for a brief second, letting the explanation settle into place. It was simple, plausible, human, not something dark or hidden, just a conversation, just memory. She let out a slow breath she had not realized she was holding, the tightness in her chest easing just enough to think clearly again. The hallway no longer felt as suffocating. She adjusted Lily slightly in her arms, holding her closer as she stepped forward, finally moving toward the stairs. The elevator was too slow. Every second mattered now. As she pushed through the door and started down, her phone buzzed again. Another message. You should not have to go through this alone. Clara paused halfway down the first flight, her hand resting lightly on the railing. The words settled differently than the others. Softer. Not intrusive. Not overwhelming. Just present. She stared at them for a moment. Something quiet shifting inside her. Something she had not allowed herself to feel in a long time. Not hope. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. She typed back, her thumb steadier now. I am used to it. The reply came almost instantly. That does not mean you deserve it. Clara stopped again. Completely this time. The sentence lingered in the air around her, heavier than it should have been. Deserve. She had not thought about that word in a long time. Not in that way. Not like it still applied to her. Lily shifted slightly in her arms, letting out a soft breath, and Clara looked down at her, her expression softening just a little. We just need to get through tonight, she whispered quietly, more to herself than anyone else. Then she lifted her head, tightened her grip, and kept moving down the stairs, the phone still warm in her hand, the messages still open, and for the first time that night, she did not feel entirely invisible. The night air hit Clara's face the moment she pushed through the building's front door, cool and sharp, carrying the distant hum of passing cars and the faint glow of streetlights stretching across the pavement. She adjusted Lily carefully against her chest, pulling the thin blanket tighter around her, as if she could shield her from more than just the cold. The parking lot was half empty, quiet in a way that made every sound feel louder than it was. Clara moved quickly toward her car, her steps steady but urgent, her mind focused on one thing only. The pharmacy. Medicine. Time. Her phone buzzed again in her hand, but she did not look at it right away. Not this time. She needed to move. She reached her car, unlocking it with a quick press, then slid into the driver's seat, carefully settling Lily into the infant carrier beside her. The baby stirred faintly, a soft sound escaping her lips that made Clara pause for just a second longer, brushing her fingers gently across Lily's cheek. "I am right here," she whispered, her voice low and steady now. Then she closed the door and started the engine. The dashboard lights flickered on, casting a soft glow across the worn interior. The gas gauge hovered just above empty. Clara noticed it, registered it, then pushed the thought aside. Not now. She pulled out of the parking lot, the tires rolling softly over cracked pavement as she turned onto the main road. Only then did she glance down at her phone, still resting in the cup holder. A new message waited. "Are you on your way to get the medicine?" Clara hesitated for half a second, then picked up the phone at a red light, her fingers moving quickly. "Yes," she typed. "The pharmacy is 15 minutes away." The light turned green before she could think about anything else, and she set the phone back down, both hands returning to the wheel. The streets were mostly empty, the city quieter at this hour, but every red light felt like a delay she could not afford. She tapped her fingers lightly against the steering wheel, her eyes flicking between the road and the clock on the dashboard. 11:42. Too late for comfort. Not too late for hope. The phone buzzed again. Clara did not pick it up immediately this time. She waited until the next stoplight, then glanced down. "Do you have enough gas to get there?" She stared at the message, her breath catching slightly. It was such a small question. Practical. Observant. Too observant. She glanced at the gas gauge again, the needle hovering in a place she knew too well. Her jaw tightened. "Yes," she typed back after a brief pause, then added, "I will make it." She set the phone down again, her grip on the wheel tightening, just slightly. The road stretched ahead, illuminated by street lights and the occasional passing car, but her mind stayed fixed on the small details she could not ignore. He had asked about the medicine. Now the gas. Not random. Not careless. He was paying attention. That realization sat quietly in the back of her mind. Not comforting, not threatening, just present. The phone buzzed again. This time, before she could even consider ignoring it, another message followed immediately after. "Clara, do not risk getting stranded." She frowned, her eyes narrowing slightly as she picked up the phone. Again at the next red light. "I will be fine," she typed, the words coming out more defensive than she intended. A few seconds passed. Then the reply came. "Send me your location." Clara froze for a moment, her thumb hovering above the screen again. There it was. The line. The moment where caution had to step forward. Her heart beat a little faster, not from fear exactly, but from the weight of the decision. She had accepted the money. She had trusted him enough for that. But this was different. Location meant proximity. It meant something real, something physical. Her eyes shifted to Lily, still quiet in the seat beside her, her tiny face soft but flushed, her breathing still too quick. Clara swallowed, her thoughts racing through possibilities she did not have time to fully explore. Another message came before she could respond. "Only if you are comfortable." The tone was unchanged. No pressure, no demand, just an option. Clara let out a slow breath, her shoulders lowering slightly. The light turned green again, and she set the phone down without replying, her focus returning to the road. The pharmacy sign appeared in the distance, glowing faintly against the dark sky like a small promise. As she pulled into the parking lot, the car slowing to a stop under the harsh white lights, her phone buzzed one more time. Clara glanced down at the screen, her expression shifting just slightly as she read the message. "I will stay right here until you tell me she is okay." For a moment, Clara did not move. The engine idled quietly. The world outside her car felt distant. She looked at Lily again, then back at the phone, her grip loosening just a little. And for the first time that night, the silence around her did not feel empty. Clara turned off the engine, but she did not move right away. The pharmacy lights reflected across the windshield, bright and clinical, the kind of light that made everything feel more real than she was ready for. Her hands rested on the steering wheel, fingers still, her eyes drifting between Lily and the phone in the cup holder. I will stay right here until you tell me she is okay. The message sat there, quiet but steady, like someone had taken a seat beside her without making a sound. Clara reached for the phone slowly this time. Her movements no longer rushed, just careful. She stared at the words again, her expression softening in a way she did not notice. People did not usually stay. Not like that. Not without a reason. Not without something in return. She swallowed, then typed back. I am going inside now. Her thumb hovered for just a moment. Then she added, thank you for staying. She sent it before she could second-guess herself, then set the phone down and turned to Lily. The baby shifted slightly, her small hand curling instinctively against the blanket, her breathing still uneven but present. Clara exhaled slowly, reaching out to unbuckle the carrier straps with careful fingers. We are almost there, she whispered, her voice gentler now, steadier. The automatic doors slid open as she stepped into the pharmacy, a soft chime echoing overhead. The air inside was warmer, carrying the faint scent of antiseptic and clean shelves. Fluorescent lights stretched across the ceiling, too bright, too sharp, but reassuring in their own way. Clara moved quickly but not carelessly, her eyes scanning the aisles as if she had memorized this place from too many late nights before. Infant care. Third aisle. She reached it in seconds, her hand already reaching for the familiar bottle, the label confirming what she needed. She grabbed two without thinking, then paused, her eyes flicking to the shelf below. Thermometer covers. Infant wipes. A small bottle of electrolyte solution. Her mind started calculating automatically, the old habit kicking in. What was necessary? What could wait? What she could afford? Then she remembered. $3,000. The number felt unreal even now, but it changed something in her thinking. Not recklessness, just permission. Clara reached down and added the extra items to her basket, her movements still efficient, but no longer restrained by the same invisible line. At the counter, the cashier offered a tired but kind smile, scanning the items without comment. Clara shifted Lily gently against her shoulder, swaying slightly as she waited, her body moving in quiet. Instinct. The total appeared on the screen. She did not flinch this time. She tapped her card, the transaction processing in seconds. Approved. Simple. Clean. Done. As she stepped aside, adjusting the small bag in her hand, her phone buzzed again. Clara glanced down immediately this time, her reaction almost automatic. Are you still there? The message came through just as she pushed the door open again, the cool night air meeting her as she stepped outside. She shifted the bag into one hand, pulling the blanket tighter around Lily with the other. Yes, she typed as she walked. I got what I need. She hesitated, then added, thank you. The reply came before she reached her car. Good. One word. Short. But it carried something steady, something grounded. Clara opened the car door, carefully settling Lily back into the carrier, her movements slower now, more deliberate. She unscrewed the medicine cap, measuring out the small dose with careful precision, her hands steady despite everything. Okay, baby, she murmured softly, easing the medicine into Lily's mouth, watching closely as she swallowed. A small cough followed, then a quiet sigh. Clara held her breath for a second longer, then exhaled slowly as Lily settled again, her tiny body relaxing just slightly. It was not instant. It was not dramatic. But it was something. Clara leaned back in the seat, her shoulders dropping, the tension easing just enough to feel the weight she had been carrying all night. She picked up her phone again, her fingers slower this time, more thoughtful. She took the medicine, she typed. We are heading home. She stared at the screen for a moment before sending it, then pressed send, her eyes lingering just a second longer than before. The reply came quickly. Drive safe. Clara let out a small breath, something close to relief settling quietly inside her. She started the engine again, the soft hum filling the space around her, but it no longer felt as empty as it had before. As she pulled out of the parking lot, the road ahead looked the same. Same lights, same distance, but something had shifted, subtle but undeniable. And for the first time that night, Clara did not feel like she was carrying everything alone. The road back felt quieter than before, the city lights stretching out in long reflections across the windshield as Clara drove with both hands steady on the wheel, her eyes moving between the road and the small mirror angled toward Lily in the back seat. The baby's breathing had softened just slightly, not perfect, not fully steady, but no longer as strained as it had been an hour ago. That small difference changed everything. Clara noticed it in the way her shoulders were no longer pulled tight, in the way her grip on the wheel loosened just enough to feel the motion of the car again instead of fighting it. The heater hummed softly, pushing warm air into the space, and for the first time that night, the silence inside the car did not feel like something pressing in on her. It felt calm. Her phone rested in the cup holder, screen dark for now, but not forgotten. She found herself glancing at it more than once, not out of urgency, but out of something she could not quite name. Expectation, maybe, or just awareness that someone was still there on the other side of it. When she reached her building, the parking lot looked exactly the same as when she had left. Half empty, quiet, still. But Clara paused for a second before turning off the engine, her eyes drifting once more to Lily. The baby stirred, letting out a soft breath that sounded less strained, more natural. Clara leaned back slightly in her seat, closing her eyes for just a moment, letting that sound settle inside her. "Okay," she whispered softly. "Okay." She reached for her phone then, her movements unhurried now, and typed, "We are home." She stared at the message for a second before sending it, then added another without thinking too much about it. Her fever feels a little lower. She pressed send, her thumb lingering on the screen for just a second longer before she set the phone down. The reply came before she even opened the car door. "That is good." Short again. Simple, but steady in the same way as before. Clara picked up the phone again, reading it twice, then typing back, "I think the medicine is working." She hesitated, then added, "Thank you." Really. This time, she did not rush to put the phone away. She held it in her hand, waiting, something quiet building in the space between messages. The response took a little longer than usual. Not long, just enough to feel different. Then it came. "You did the hard part." Clara blinked slightly, her brow softening as she read the words again. Not praise, not exaggeration, just recognition. She let out a small breath she had not realized she was holding, something inside her easing in a way that felt unfamiliar. She opened the car door, stepping out into the cool night air again, the quiet of the parking lot wrapping around her as she moved to the back seat. She lifted Lily carefully, holding her close, the baby's warmth still present but no longer overwhelming. As Clara made her way back toward the building, her phone buzzed again in her hand. She glanced down as she walked. "Clara, if her fever does not drop in the next hour, you should consider urgent care." She slowed slightly, reading the message twice, her expression thoughtful. Practical again. Calm. Not intrusive. Just there. She typed back as she reached the door. "I will watch her closely." She paused, then added, "I appreciate you telling me that." The door clicked open, and she stepped inside, the familiar dim hallway greeting her, but it no longer felt as heavy as it had before. As she climbed the stairs this time, her steps were slower, more measured, not driven by panic but by purpose. Lily shifted softly against her chest, a quiet sound escaping her that made Clara glance down again, her expression softening immediately. When she reached her apartment, she moved inside, closing the door gently behind her. The room looked the same as when she had left, but something about it felt different now. Less suffocating, less silent. Clara set Lily down carefully on the couch, adjusting the blanket, then reached for the thermometer again. She waited, her breath steady this time, her eyes focused. The beep came after a few seconds. Clara looked down at the number. 100.8. She froze for a moment, then let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped in her chest all night. Not gone. Not perfect. But better. Clara reached for her phone again, her fingers moving quickly now, but without panic. "It is down to 100.8, she typed. She stared at the message for a second, then added, "She looks more comfortable." She pressed send, her heart steady but full in a way she could not quite explain. The reply came almost instantly this time. "That is a good sign." Clara nodded slightly, even though he could not see her, her eyes drifting back to Lily, who had settled into a quieter, more peaceful stillness. Clara sat down beside her, her body finally allowing itself to rest, her hand gently resting near Lily's small fingers. The phone remained in her other hand, warm, present, no longer just a device. As the room grew quiet again, Clara realized something she had not expected. The night had not changed completely. The struggle was not over. But the weight of it was no longer entirely hers to carry. The apartment settled into a quiet that felt different from before, not heavy, not pressing, but soft, like something finally giving Clara room to breathe. The small lamp near the couch cast a warm, dim glow across the room, replacing the harsh overhead light she had not bothered to turn on. Lily lay wrapped in her blanket, her tiny chest rising and falling in a slower rhythm now, each breath a little steadier than the last. Clara sat beside her, one hand resting lightly near Lily's fingers, the other still holding her phone, her thumb brushing absent-mindedly against the edge of the screen. She checked the temperature again after a few minutes, just to be sure. The number held. 100.6 this time. Lower. Not by much, but enough to matter. Clara let out a quiet breath, her shoulders dropping slightly as she leaned back against the couch, her eyes lingering on Lily's face as if memorizing the calm. The phone buzzed gently in her hand, breaking the silence without disturbing it. How is she now? Adrian's message appeared, simple, steady, like everything else he had sent. Clara looked at it for a moment before answering, her fingers moving slower now, no longer driven by urgency. Better, she typed. Still warm, but she is resting. She hesitated, then added, her breathing is calmer. She pressed send and lowered the phone slightly, her gaze drifting back to Lily. A small sound escaped the baby, not distressed this time, just a soft murmur before settling again. Clara's lips curved faintly, the expression almost unfamiliar on her face after such a long night. The reply came a few seconds later. That is what we want to see. Clara read it twice, her eyes softening again. Not clinical, not detached, just present. She shifted slightly on the couch, pulling her legs in as she settled more comfortably, though her body still held traces of exhaustion that would not disappear in a single moment. Her phone remained in her hand, and for the first time, she did not feel the need to put it down. Another message followed. You should try to rest too. Clara let out a quiet breath that almost sounded like a small laugh, though it carried no real humor. I will, she typed back. Then she paused, her thumb hovering before she added, after I make sure she is okay. The response came almost instantly. That sounds like you. Clara frowned slightly, her brow pulling together in quiet curiosity. What does that mean, she typed. The dots appeared, then paused, then appeared again. When the message finally came through, it was longer than his usual replies. James mentioned that you always take care of everyone else first. Clara blinked, her expression shifting as she read the words again. Her brother. Of course. She leaned her head back slightly against the couch, her eyes drifting to the ceiling for a moment as memories flickered quietly in the background. Old conversations. Occasional check-ins. The way James would ask if she needed anything, and how she would always say no. Always. Her gaze returned to Lily, her hand instinctively adjusting the blanket slightly, making sure it covered her properly. That sounds like him. Clara typed back, her words softer now. He worries too much. The reply came a moment later. He is not wrong. Clara did not respond immediately this time. She sat there, the silence stretching comfortably around her, her thoughts slower, less tangled than before. The room felt warmer now, not just from the heater, but from something quieter, something less visible. Her phone buzzed again. Clara. She looked at the screen, something about the way her name appeared alone in the message making her pay closer attention. Another message followed. You do not always have to handle everything by yourself. Clara's breath caught slightly, the words settling deeper than she expected. She stared at the screen, her fingers still, her mind searching for a response that did not come easily. People did not usually say things like that to her. Not directly, not without expecting something in return. But there was nothing in his tone that suggested that. No pressure, no hidden edge, just a statement. She looked down at Lily again, her small fingers now loosely curled, her face relaxed in a way that made Clara's chest ache softly. Clara exhaled slowly, her shoulders easing just a little more. She typed carefully this time. I am trying to learn that. She stared at the message for a moment before sending it, then pressed send, her thumb lingering for just a second longer. The reply came, softer than anything else he had sent so far. You are doing better than you think. Clara read it once. Then again. Then she set the phone down beside her, not because she wanted to disconnect, but because for the first time that night, she did not need to hold on so tightly. She leaned back fully against the couch, her eyes drifting closed for just a moment, listening to the quiet sound of Lily's breathing filling the room. And in that quiet, something shifted inside her, not loud, not dramatic, but steady. For the first time in a long time, Clara did not feel like she was waiting for something to go wrong. The room remained quiet, but it was no longer the kind of silence that pressed against Clara's chest. It was softer now, almost protective, like the night itself had decided to slow down with her. The lamp continued to cast its warm glow across the couch, outlining the small rise and fall of Lily's chest with gentle shadows that moved in steady rhythm. Clara had not realized when her body finally relaxed, but she felt it now in the way her shoulders no longer ached from tension in the way. Her breathing matched the calm of the room instead of fighting it. Her eyes opened slowly after what felt like only a few seconds, though the clock on the wall told her nearly 20 minutes had passed. She blinked, orienting herself, her first instinct immediate as she leaned forward to check Lily again. The baby stirred slightly but did not wake, her breathing even more stable now, her small face no longer flushed with the same intensity. Clara reached for the thermometer again, her movements careful and practiced, waiting quietly for the soft beep. 99.8. Clara froze for a second, staring at the number as if it might change if she blinked. Then she exhaled, a long, quiet breath that seemed to release something deep inside her chest. Not perfect, not completely gone, but normal enough to breathe again. Her lips parted slightly, and for a moment, she did not say anything. She just looked at Lily, her fingers brushing gently along the baby's tiny hand, feeling the warmth now without fear attached to it. Her phone buzzed softly beside her, pulling her attention back. She reached for it without hesitation now, her thumb unlocking the screen almost automatically. Any change? Adrian's message appeared, simple, consistent, like he had not moved from wherever he was all this time. Clara stared at the words for a moment, something quiet settling in her expression before she typed back. 99.8, she wrote, then paused before adding, "She is sleeping peacefully." She pressed send, her eyes lingering on the screen for just a second longer than usual. The reply came almost immediately. That is a very good sign. Clara felt something in her chest shift again, lighter this time, steadier. She leaned back against the couch, her head resting against the cushion, her eyes drifting briefly toward the ceiling before returning to Lily. The room felt different now, not because anything had changed physically, but because the fear that had filled it earlier had slowly faded into something quieter, something manageable. Another message came through. "You handled tonight well." Clara blinked at the screen, her expression softening slightly. She did not answer right away. Instead, she let the words sit there, reading them again, letting them settle without rushing to respond. No one had said that to her in a long time. Not like that. Not without hesitation. She finally typed back, slower than before. "I was just trying to get through it." Her thumb hovered for a moment. Then she added, "Like always." The dots appeared again, then paused, then returned. When his response came, it was steady, measured. There is a difference between surviving and carrying everything alone. Clara's fingers stilled against the phone. The words lingered, heavier than she expected, but not uncomfortable. Just true in a way she had not allowed herself to think about before. Her gaze drifted back to Lily, her hand instinctively adjusting the blanket again, smoothing it gently across the baby's chest. "I am still figuring that out," she typed after a moment, her words honest, unguarded in a way that would have surprised her hours earlier. The reply came slower this time, but when it appeared, it carried the same quiet certainty as everything else he had said. "You will." Clara read it once. Then again. She did not question it. She did not argue. She just let it sit there, letting the simplicity of it settle into something she did not yet fully understand, but did not push away either. The room remained still, the night stretching on, but no longer heavy. Clara shifted slightly on the couch, pulling the blanket up over her own legs now, her body finally acknowledging how tired it was. Her phone remained in her hand, but her grip had loosened, her thumb no longer hovering in constant readiness. For a moment, she considered putting it down completely, but she did not. Not yet. Another message appeared, this one different in tone, quieter, almost careful. Clara. She looked at the screen, her attention sharpening slightly at the way her name appeared again on its own. A second message followed. When Lily wakes up in the morning, I would like to help you both further. Clara's breath caught just slightly, not from fear, but from the shift in direction. This was no longer just about the night. Her eyes moved slowly across the words, her mind processing them carefully, not rejecting, not fully accepting, just considering. She did not answer immediately. Instead, she looked at Lily again, her small, peaceful form resting just inches away. The fear that had defined the night was gone now, replaced by something quieter. Something open. Clara lowered her gaze back to the phone, her fingers resting lightly against it as she finally typed. What do you mean? She sent the message, her heart steady but aware, and as the screen dimmed slightly in the quiet room, she realized that whatever came next was no longer just about getting through the night. Clara did not look away from the screen after sending the message. Her thumb rested lightly against the edge of the phone, her breathing steady, but her attention sharpened in a way that felt different from before. This was no longer about medicine or fever or getting through the night. This was something else. Something that had quietly been building between each message, each pause, each careful word. The three dots appeared almost immediately this time, then disappeared, then returned again, as if Adrian was choosing his words with more care than before. Clara noticed that. She noticed everything now. Finally, the message came through. I mean that this should not end here. Clara blinked slightly, her brows drawing together as she read the sentence again. It was simple, but it carried weight. Not urgent, not demanding, just certain. Another message followed before she could respond. You needed help tonight. Tomorrow, you should not have to worry about what comes next. Clara's eyes lingered on the words, her chest rising slowly as she took a quiet breath. Worry about tomorrow. That had been her entire life for as long as she could remember. Rent, groceries, work shifts, babysitting schedules. Every decision measured, calculated, stretched. Her gaze drifted briefly to Lily, still sleeping peacefully beside her, the small rise and fall of her chest steady and calm. Then back to the phone. I am used to figuring things out, Clara typed slowly, her fingers moving with care. She paused, then added, that is how I have made it this far. She sent the message and waited, her expression thoughtful, not defensive, just honest. The reply came after a few seconds. And you have done that well. Clara's lips pressed together slightly, her eyes softening at the words, but she did not respond yet. She could feel something shifting again, not uncomfortable, but unfamiliar. Another message followed. But doing everything alone is not the same as having to. Clara's breath caught slightly, the words settling deeper than she expected. She leaned back into the couch, her gaze drifting toward the ceiling again for just a moment, her thoughts moving slower now, more deliberate. She looked back at the screen, her thumb hovering before she typed. What are you offering? The question was simple, direct, but not cold. She sent it without hesitation, her eyes remaining fixed on the screen as the seconds passed. The response came steadily. A conversation. In person. Clara's heart beat just a little faster, not from fear, but from the shift into something real, something beyond the safe distance of messages. She read the words again, her mind immediately weighing possibilities, caution rising naturally, but not as sharply as it would have before. Another message followed. No pressure, no expectations, just a chance to talk when things are not urgent. Clara exhaled slowly, her shoulders easing slightly as she read that. No pressure. He had said that before, and he had meant it. She knew that now. Her eyes drifted again to Lily, her hand moving instinctively to adjust the blanket, her fingers brushing lightly against the baby's tiny hand. The warmth was still there, but it was gentle now, no longer something to fear. Clara looked back at the phone, her expression quieter, more open than it had been at the start of the night. Why? She typed. The question appeared simple, but it carried everything she could not quite put into words. Why her? Why now? Why continue? The response did not come immediately this time. The dots appeared, paused, disappeared, then returned again. When the message finally appeared, it was shorter than she expected. Because you asked for help. Clara blinked, her breath catching slightly at the simplicity of it. She read it again, then again, no explanation layered over it. No hidden meaning. Just that. She asked. He answered. The room remained still around her, the quiet stretching softly between her and the small, glowing screen in her hand. Clara leaned back slowly, her body finally allowing itself to settle fully into the couch, her eyes drifting once more to Lily, then back to the phone. She typed carefully this time, her words slower, more intentional. Tomorrow is a new day. She paused, then added, I will think about it. She sent the message, her thumb lingering just a moment longer before she let the phone rest beside her. The reply came almost instantly. That is enough. Clara let out a small breath, something steady and quiet settling in her chest. She turned her attention fully back to Lily, her hand resting gently near her daughter's fingers, her body finally allowing itself to relax completely. The night had started with fear, with uncertainty, with a message sent to the wrong number. But now, as the room settled into a calm she had not expected, Clara realized something she had not allowed herself to consider before. Sometimes, the wrong number leads to the right person at exactly the moment you needed them most.